Welcome back. You're listening to Protecting Your Family on Talk Radio 790 KABC. I'm your host, attorney Naz Barouti, joined by my co-host, Kerri Kasem. Now, if you've been watching the news, you've heard that Bruce Jenner is apparently becoming a woman, and this issue of transgender is coming up. And I think that, it's kind of important to talk about.
It is important to talk about it, and I think it's something that, I've known a few transgender people in my lifetime, and I went to school with a couple of kids that ended up becoming, transgender, or there's a difference between transgender and transvestite. Or is that even appropriate to say anymore?
I don't know. I haven't heard that term in a very long time in relation to transgender when people talk about it.
And there's the difference between, somebody who's actually transgender and they go ahead like Chaz Bono.
They actually
do that.
Yeah.
And then, the difference between that and wearing women's clothes, but not having like gender reassignment surgery.
Yeah. I'm just a little disgusted at all the jokes because I don't think that it's funny, because if you look at the bigger picture, this is not just about Bruce Jenner. There are so many teens across the United States who are going through something similar, and they don't have necessarily the funds to actually go through the process. And I was just reading an article about a teen who committed suicide, and there's the portion of the suicide note that I want to read over the air. He says, "If you are reading this, it means that I have committed suicide and obviously failed to delete this post from my computer. Please don't be sad. It's for the better. The life I would have lived isn't worth living in because I'm transgender. I could go into detail explaining why I feel that way, but this note is probably going to be lengthy enough as it is. To put it simply, I feel like a girl trapped in a boy's body, and I felt that way ever since I was 4. I never knew there was a word for that feeling. Nor was it possible for a boy. My mom started taking me to a therapist, but would only take me to Christian therapists who were all very biased, so I would never actually got the therapy I needed to cure me of my depression. I only got more Christians telling me that I was selfish and wrong and that I should look to God for help. The only way I will rest in peace is if one day transgender people aren't treated the way I was. They are treated like humans with valid feelings and human rights. Gender needs to be taught about in schools. The earlier the better. My death needs to mean something. My death needs to be counted in the number of transgender people who commit suicide. Goodbye, Leela." And then he put Josh, and then he crossed out Josh and put Alcorn. That is so sad.
It's so sad, and especially now, since there's so much talk. It's out in the open. It's public. It doesn't mean that there's not bullying and teasing still happening. There is. But there's more people becoming accepting of it. There was another article in People magazine a few months ago about a little boy who turned into a little girl, and she'd been living her life as a little girl since I think she's only 11 or 12 at this point, but her parents recognized it and supported her. And I thought, wow, how incredible. This little girl was beautiful. I wouldn't have guessed she was a little boy, but she was beautiful. She was in cheerleader. And she was speaking out, against bullying and speaking for the transgender kids who didn't have a voice. And I thought, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is amazing. And I've always thought, I believe in reincarnation myself. And, I always thought that if you are reincarnated over and over again, and you're in maybe a woman's body one time and a man's body the next, and then, we're all, when we die, in most religions, you believe you go to heaven or you go somewhere, right? You don't take your body with you. We're all spirit. That's what we are. We're spirits, right? And spirits, they're not female or male. We're just spirit form, right?
Yeah.
You go to heaven, I guess, some people think you look like the same person, but you're not taking your body with you. Your body is here in the ground.
Yeah, putting the bullying to the side, and that's one of the major issues. My concern is more that how expensive it is for people to go through this process, in the sense that to change your name, I think it's like a $500 cost to be recognized, from male to female, female to male. And we have to ask ourselves, why are we making it so difficult for people to go through this process?
So $500 is not that much. And look, if somebody is going to change their entire lifestyle and everything, and all the paperwork has to be redone, and all the, they change your birth certificate, correct? They change everything.
But why are we charging $500 for something so simple, just to click from male to female on that?
Well, I don't know if it's that simple. Do you really think it's just a click? I think you have to go through all the paperwork.
I think a lot of stuff in government, like going to the DMV. It's a lot of simple in the computer. You're just printing it out, but they're just lazy.
I'll tell you why. Here's my theory, Naz. Here's my theory. if we could just click male, female, change my name here, change my name there, people would do that all the time. They would just, and then change their mind and change it back. The people that weren't really seriously committed. When you have to spend $500, you're going to commit. You're not going to continually.
I suppose. But there's a lot of obstacles, I feel, ahead of people that are going through the transgender process. And they're not as fortunate as Bruce Jenner to have so much money. Right. To go through the process. And I wish that people would take this more seriously, because anything apparently associated with the Kardashians, people laugh off or think it's funny. But
see, I don't. I think this man, 65 years of his life, he's lived as a man. He's lived unhappy. He's felt that he was something else. And to actually come out in the open and say, and I guess he's doing a docu-series about it now. I hope that still comes out because of the horrific crash he was involved in. Hopefully that's not going to stop everything. But you know about the crash?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So for this man to say, after winning an Olympic gold medal, after being on TV, after having all this entire famous life as a man, to say, you know what, now it's my turn. I'm going to live the life I want to live, is to me so courageous. And there's nothing funny about it, and there's nothing to joke about. Yeah. And he's not, I've seen jokes about the Kardashian girls and this and that. He's not a Kardashian. He's a Jenner, and he's his own person.
I agree with you. And I think that what's interesting is if you look at clips from previous shows, he was so uptight in raising his two daughters, Kendall and Kylie, and he was very strict on them. And it makes me think, was he making up for, was he hiding something? Did he almost want to be them? And he was just so strict on them, and he was almost prude in a way.
Well, my dad was strict with us and prude in his way too, but he didn't want to be a woman. I think raising a child is, I don't think, and you could be right, but I don't think it has anything to do with the fact he wanted to be a woman. I think he raised, if he was a woman, he would have raised his children probably the same way. But, and I did not watch the Kardashians. I've never seen a full episode of it, ever. So, I don't know. I didn't see what you saw, but I feel like he was smart enough and knowing enough to be a good father. I think the two kids that he raised seem to be okay.
Yeah, I think he is a good father. And, Brody Jenner is also his son.
Right.
And no, I think that he was a really good father. He was very disciplined. He's an Olympic athlete.
And the kids don't do drugs, at least what we know of. How, you see so many younger, children or children of stars or children that grow up in the limelight. They're all, they're clubbing, they're doing drugs, they're doing this. I've never once heard, and that could change, this could change. I've never once heard of any of the Kardashians or Jenners doing drugs and getting kind of involved in that.
You know what I'm curious about, and we should have probably asked Mark Garagos this, but I'm wondering, that crash that happened on PCH that Bruce Jenner was involved with and someone died from the accident. Was he on any medication to go through this transformation of becoming a woman? Was he maybe amped up on antidepressants or any pills mixed together to go through this change? I wonder if that had anything to do with it.
Who knows? It's very possible, but he was not drunk. He submitted a blood test.
Yeah, he voluntarily went
in, and he's sober. Who knows what anybody's hopped up on now these days? And hopefully that's not what caused it. But it wasn't. I don't think it was his actual. I don't think it was. He actually went into the back of the white Lexus. The white Lexus went into first hit the Prius, and then what happened was. The white Lexus turned into oncoming traffic, and that's what did it. Wasn't I don't think it was his rear ending.
It's really off that PCH, that road. I always get nervous when I drive down there. You guys got to be careful. Slow down. Don't be texting and driving, please. Whatever
they're
the
looking
case
at that. They're looking at the text records of everybody.
Yes, that kind of it scares me. I have adopted this new policy where I put my phone in the back seat now because I'm one of those people that does look at their phone.
I should do that. I should really put my phone. I do pick up my phone.
Or put it in the trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. We want you to be here.
I have Bluetooth. I have Bluetooth, so I do, I can say, call, blah, blah, or call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still look at email. It's really bad. I know I should not be doing it. And I've also gotten a ticket for doing that many times. So
bad.
I had to learn my lesson. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Protecting Your Family on Talk Radio 790 KABC.